Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to Inside NASCAR. NASCAR Thunder, the official store of NASCAR. 4 of those stores are in operation now in Atlanta, Georgia, Dallas, Texas, Knoxville, Tennessee, and this one in the Haynes Mall at Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We're going to take you inside and show you around one of the NASCAR Thunder stores, and we have lots more for you in this 1 hour of Inside NASCAR.
After 2 years of giving headaches to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series competitors, Mike Skinner will make the jump to Winston Cup in 1997. Skinner will drive a second car for Richard Childress, and with the success that's come to the first, Skinner has high hopes for next season. We'll talk with the soon-to-be Winston Cup rookie. As the different racing series that fall under the NASCAR heading continue to grow, so does the governing body itself. NASCAR has branched out from their Daytona Beach digs and headed for the bright lights of New York City with the opening of a second office. Our Marlo Klain will give us a tour. And we'll wrap up our coverage of NASCAR's first trip to Japan as we highlight the 4 locals who tried to best the NASCAR regulars. We'll meet the Japanese drivers who ran in the Suzuka 100. All that and more coming up on Inside NASCAR.
Today's show is brought to you by Texaco Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star. And by Miller Brewing Company, proud sponsor of the Miller Racing Team. We race for beer. This segment of Inside NASCAR is brought to you by Texaco Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star.
In Inside NASCAR news this week, Paul Andrews, the last crew chief to lead a Ford team to the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship, has left the 7 team for the 37. Andrews will try and turn things around for Jeremy Mayfield in his first full season with Pranafis Haas. TriStar Motorsports and Loy Allen Jr. have a sponsor in 97. It's Child Support Recovery International. It's the nation's largest private agency specializing in collecting child support. The Sadler Racing Team is switching from Fords to Chevys this upcoming season. The Chevrolet is nothing new to the Sadlers. During the days of Illumina, the team fielded Chevys on the ARCA Series, with Jeremy Mayfield winning Rookie of the Year honors in '93. The dates have been set for testing down in Daytona. Ford will be there January 3rd through the 5th and the 13th through the 15th. GM has the track from January 6th through the 8th and 20th through the 22nd. And then the Busch teams will spend some time there the 16th and the 17th. And another date to mark on your calendar, the Winston Cup preview will be January 11th. The annual event is at the Winston-Salem Coliseum.
They have a children's department here at the NASCAR Thunder store for the tots in your family. And speaking of tots, the annual Stocks for Tots benefit was held last week in Mooresville, North Carolina. A lot of the drivers showed up to sign autographs for an enthusiastic crowd, even though it was dampened a little bit by rain on that particular night. But a good time was had by all. Brett McMillan has the story.
A lot of us are invited to neighborhood parties over the holidays. Well, the NASCAR family in Mooresville, North Carolina, which calls itself Racetown, USA, they had their own holiday party and invited race fans to attend. More than 1,000 fans showed up for the annual Stocks for Tots fundraiser December 12th. Race shops were opened and lots of drivers, crewmen, and other celebrities were on hand giving out autographs. All they asked the fans to do was either bring a toy or make a donation, all forwarded to organizations that help abused children.
Rusty and I started back in 1990 when we first started building a shop out here. One of the fellows from Mooresville, from the Chamber of Commerce, came to us and was talking to us about the abused children situation in the Carolinas and how serious it was and how badly in need they were, you know, for some help. And so we came up with this little bit of concept here, and we only had about 5 weeks to put it together. We raised quite a bit of money, raised a lot of toys, got out, gave it to some of the people, some of the needy children, and then hooked up with SCAN. And SCAN was the operation that was actually taking care of the children. And they asked us to do it again the following year, and each year it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Over the years, the Stocks for Tots event has raised more than $250,000 and has provided about 20 truckloads of toys.
What makes you feel so good is when you finally get here and everything's all organized, you start signing, you're going, man, this is a tough deal they had to do to get all these people together and organized up. And then when they tell you the number and just to be part of it makes you feel good. It really does. And so I'm proud of the job they're doing. I was happy that Team Penske helped inspire this thing to get go back 7 years ago, and it's turned into such a good cause.
And for the race fans, this was a great opportunity. Not only did they get to tour some of the race shops and meet their favorite drivers, heck, they got to see the race shops decorated up for Christmas. You don't get to see that very often. But more importantly, they got to help these guys spread some Christmas cheer.
You know where the things are going, like this deal's going to the kids, you know, for Christmas. You know what I mean? And Christmas is a special time. It's special. I mean, Christmas is for kids, and that's what this deal's for, and that's what it helps. That makes it even more special.
It's a great deal. I mean, it's good for the kids, and I enjoy doing stuff like this. It's a lot of fun. It's the second year I've done it, like I said, and it just gets bigger every year.
And when it's time to deliver the toys, some of the drivers will even play Santa.
Some of the guys get together afterwards, and we get some of the specific toys that are laid out by scan, and we take them to some of the children's hospitals and deliver them in the trucks, and the guys are all in uniform, and the kids love it, you know, and it's a great way to say thank you and Merry Christmas.
This event is a perfect example of why Winston Cup racing is getting so big. These guys are running in races nearly every weekend, 10 months a year, and yet during their off-season, they're still making themselves available to their fans.
There's a lot of stuff that drivers are asked to do. A lot of them are doing different things, and they've got a pretty good amount of people doing it. I wish we had a little bit more, but Winston Cup previews coming up. I'm sure a lot of drivers are going to do that, and there are a lot of them are on vacation right now. But when they're in town, they don't have no problem doing it. They always volunteer their time.
There's probably 2 to 3 a month that you try to do, especially when the race season takes on. You try to do something in just about every town that you go into race. They usually have something a day or 2 before the race, and you try to make them things and make all you can make, you know, whatever the schedule allows with testing and that of the other tracks. But we make quite a few of them. There's probably, I guess, 20 to 25 a year that we try to make.
For those who think the drivers aren't as accessible as they used to be, Rick Mast will take issue.
We really, I think, the drivers on the whole do more than we used to do. You know what I mean? But the problem is there's more fans than it used to be, so the ratio's kind of getting out of line. In other words, we see more fans than we ever used to, but by the same token, there's more fans out there that don't get to see us because there are so many fans now. But, you know, I mean, I'm just like everybody else. Whenever we can do something like this, we always try to do it.
And they're doing it on nights like this because they understand how dedicated the fans are to their sport. In fact, that downpour started about an hour and a half into the evening, but it didn't dampen the enthusiasm of the fans. First of all, you have a fender. Now, where did you pick this up?
At an auction.
How much did you pay for this piece of equipment?
You paid for it. You paid for it. How much did you pay for it?
About $200. And when he brought this home and said he paid $200 for this piece of fender, what did you say to him?
Wonderful. Now we got to get Rusty to sign it.
You like opportunities like this where you guys can kind of come out and see the drive? How many times do you do this during the course of a year?
We've been to 8 races this year and been to several auctions and autograph sessions. Probably 5 or 6 all total around here.
Great. And we got this guy over here with the tire.
Yeah.
Let's see, the black magic marker will not work on this.
Gold. He was nice enough to give me gold. So I lucked out there. I drove all the way from New Jersey for this.
Where did you get the tire from?
I got it at Rockingham this fall race, but this is the last tire off the last set of tires on Rusty's car at North Wilkesboro. So this is going to be kind of like a keepsake since they're never going to be racing at North Wilkesboro again. So I lucked out there.
How much you pay for this?
It's only $20 scuff that I got there. So and I got the authentication card from Goodyear, so I know that no one's pulling my leg on it.
How many drivers have you seen here tonight?
A lot. About, I don't know, about 35 or something.
Have you minded the rain at all?
Yeah, kind of.
What's been the best part for you?
Meeting all the drivers. Being out here and everything.
Are any of the drivers like maybe nicer than you thought they were or cuter than you thought they were?
They look different when they're on TV. But, yeah, they're pretty nice. They're friendly.
How many autographs do you think you're going to sign tonight?
I don't know until we run out. I got a lot of Sharpies here. I've said a whole bunch of them, so I'll probably go until they're all wore out. But there's a lot of people outside yet.
How many of these autographs do you think you've signed tonight, Rick?
I don't know. I figure about 1 hot dog every time I get hungry. You know, when I sign autographs, it goes to the number of hot dogs. I've had to eat 3 hot dogs so far, so it's about 2,500. That's how I judge my autograph number.
Hey, maybe Rick can market this method to the Highway Patrol for estimating race crowds.
Seven-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt has his own department here at the NASCAR Thunder store, and he might have a partner on these walls a year from now. He will have a partner in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in 1997. For the first time ever, Richard Childress will field 2 cars full-time in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. The former NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, Mike Skinner, will be the driver of the Lowe's Chevrolet number 31, joining Earnhardt's Goodwrench Chevrolet number 3. While they were in Japan a couple of weeks ago, Stephanie Boyd talked to Mike Skinner about his move to the NASCAR Winston Cup Series.
It's safe to say that Mike Skinner was far from a household name when Richard Childress first tapped him to drive in the newly formed Craftsman Truck Series 2 years ago. But then Skinner went out and won the inaugural title in dominating fashion and followed that up this year with a fight to the end before finally finishing third behind Ron Hornaday and Jack Sprague. His performance has been rewarded with a Winston Cup ride starting next season. He's got the choice assignment of being Dale Earnhardt's teammate, and their new alliance actually started last month in Japan.
This is really kind of your first official race, so to speak, as Dale Earnhardt's teammate. Are you excited about that?
You bet. It's a great opportunity. Dale's been great to work with. He took me around the racetrack, and you know, they tested for 3 days over here, and he's got a lot of time on this track. And he took me around and showed me some do's and don'ts, and it really helped me get out of the box, you know.
Is it hard when you become a teammate to somebody like Dale Earnhardt to try not to feel like the second team, you know, the research team or whatever?
Well, reality is that we're the second team. So I think somebody would be dreaming to think that they was going to come in and go to work for a Rick Hendricks or a Richard Childress as a second or third car and not be the second or third car. The 3 car's the number 1 car. I get the same equipment he does. Our motors are very, very close. There'll be times I have a little more motor than him, and there'll be times he has a little more than me. I think equipment-wise, we're going to be in good shape. But, you know, there's probably, Richard has to have a little more focus for the 3 than the 31, but he's hired great people. We're going to have David Smith as a team manager. He's won several championships with Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt. We're going to have a very good race team, and we'll have a lot of focus over here.
I know these aren't necessarily the guys that are going to be with your team throughout the whole season next year, but is this kind of an opportunity for you guys to get together and gel, too, before the season starts?
Like a free test. You know, getting to work with Kevin Hamlin and some of the other boys that came with him and some of the new guys has been great. We've got a couple of the truck guys over here, and I'm really going to miss not working with them. And this is kind of the last time we get to work together, and the first time I get to work with some of the new guys. So it's a pretty neat deal. I'm really going to miss the truck guys. I wish we could have brought that whole team and done this, but the truck series has been very successful, and you know, it wasn't right for Richard to shut it down. It was GM Goodwrench service has been great to me and great to RCR, and he needs to keep carrying that banner and keep going with the truck series.
Despite the fact that Mike Skinner is now officially Dale Earnhardt's teammate and that he has a prime Winston Cup ride, he says not backing up his 95 truck title has left him with some unfinished business.
I don't like to leave a loser. You know, I don't feel like we're losers. We won the most races and led the most laps and set a lot of track records and did a lot of things. I would have liked to have left with a championship, but it's tough. It wasn't meant to be. We won the first one. I don't think we got beat for the second one. We beat ourselves. And that doesn't change anything, but it makes you feel a little bit more, have a little more peace of mind.
Well, you are used to being on top in the truck series. Are you prepared to take your knocks as a rookie?
I don't think so. I'm a sore loser. It's going to be hard to get used to losing, and I hope I don't get used to losing. We've won in every division we've ever raced in, and you know that we gave a lot of effort in trying to race in, and I think we can win in Winston Cup. It's just, you know, it's a lot harder to get into Winston Cup and win races. We're going to have to pay our dues like everybody else did, and just really try to get this race team together. If we get this team pulled together, we've got Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse as the main sponsor. They're behind us 100%. Richard Childress is behind us 100%, Richard and Judy. And we got this race team really pumped up. And if everybody keeps that attitude and everybody keeps focused on this thing, we'll be all right.
Of course, it wasn't too long ago that Skinner was tackling the late model circuits looking for his big break. And now that he's gotten it, it's still almost too good for him to believe.
I always had big dreams and thought that one day I'd be driving Winston Cup, yes, but probably not for Richard Childress as Dale Earnhardt's teammate. About 5 years ago, I guess, a friend of mine had one of those newspapers. The guy was my spotter, John Austin. He had one of those newspapers made up that you can have made up. It said, you know, Skinner drives for Childress, and, you know, the headlines was like that. And we laughed about it, and about 6 or 7 months ago, he said, "You still got that newspaper clipping?" It says, "I told you." And so it was a pretty neat deal. Like a dream come true.
Speaking of dreams, how has your life changed? Are you living a dream these days? I mean, ever since this happened, when you got pegged for that truck deal, it seems like your life totally has changed.
Well, I think anytime somebody can do what they love to do the most and make a living doing it, it's a dream. You're living in a dream. Hope I don't wake up anytime soon.
The NASCAR Thunder stores are an indication of how much NASCAR is growing. Another indication is the fact that NASCAR has opened a business office in New York, and we'll take you to that office when we come back, so don't go away.
I think the primary reason is that we really felt that we needed to have a presence here in New York to be closer to Madison Avenue in terms of working with the agencies, to have a presence here in New York because the other leagues are here and we are a growing sport. And also to really have a corporate marketing presence.
A couple of weeks ago, we were in New York at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel celebrating Terry Labonte's 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. A lot of people have felt since the banquet has been being held there that it has taken our sport to another level, put the sport in front of a lot more people than ever before. Well, NASCAR has taken that even a step farther now, especially on the business end, by opening a business office in the city of New York. And while we were there for the banquet, Marlo Klain paid them a visit.
16 years ago, we held this banquet in New York for the first time. People questioned our reasons. Some said it made no sense. 2 months ago this week, NASCAR opened an office 2 blocks away on Park Avenue, and everyone said it made perfect sense. That's how far we've come.
NASCAR is a sport driven by sponsors, so when the organization opened its New York office 2 months ago to be closer to Madison Avenue, it didn't surprise anyone that NASCAR answered the calls of the corporate world.
Good afternoon, NASCAR.
I think the primary reason is that we really felt that we needed to have a presence here in New York to be closer to Madison Avenue in terms of working with the agencies, to have a presence here in New York because the other leagues are here and we are a growing sport, and also to really have a corporate marketing presence.
Maria Formasano is the senior manager of corporate sponsorships in NASCAR's New York office. She was lured away from Major League Baseball to get behind the wheel on NASCAR's Fast Track.
You've been a part of another league in the past. Where do you think NASCAR fits into the whole scheme of it here in New York?
We are one of the top 5 national sports leagues in America, and I think we, as we continue to grow, it's key to have a presence here.
Why?
All of our corporate America is here. The other leagues are here. The agencies are here. It's easier access for us to be here. And it provides a home base for all of the team sponsors as well as the agencies and the corporate sponsors to have a home here.
Is one a part of this to find sponsors for some of the teams?
Absolutely. We are a national corporate marketing office, and while our primary focus is to package and sell every area of our business in terms of official sponsorship, opportunities. We also want to corral the opportunities out there in terms of team sponsors and make that an integral part of our corporate sponsorship packages.
This office is not just a service for the elite in Winston Cup racing. It's an umbrella for all the levels.
More and more teams that are growing and moving up in terms of becoming more competitive, not only in the top 3 series, but lower series as well, are calling us to find out if we can provide them with information, and we are. We're educating them in terms of what we're doing here in New York, and as we grow as a sport, we're talking to them more and more. They come in and they hold their own meetings. They utilize our office as a part of, they're like a part of our family, so they're using the office to meet with potential sponsors for their own teams.
Probably the most impressive part of these plush offices on Park Avenue is the stark contrast to NASCAR's humble beginnings.
It's not just the infields at Talladega, but it is a growing sport, and we are developing new tracks. We are expanding our profile in terms of opportunities to corporate America. So, we're certainly not losing sight of our fan base. We're listening to our fans. We're conducting surveys and focus groups to find out exactly what our fans are looking for, and we're trying to market that.
Backtrack is brought to you by Prestone Antifreeze. Protect your car in the Prestone Zone.
Sterling Marlin was on the pole driving the Maxwell House Ford for Junior Johnson. The race ran caution-free for nearly 100 circuits until a brief rain shower caused the yellow. After a 6-lap slowdown, the race was on again with Bill Elliott giving Marlin a fight for the top spot. Elliott was in Johnson's Budweiser number 11. This set up the biggest wreck of the day. Off of turn 2, Ernie Irvin makes it 3 wide, and this time it doesn't work. Whose fault was it? You decide. By the time cars stopped spinning, 14 drivers were involved, including 9 that were on the lead lap. Those involved included Wallace, Dale Jarrett driving his first race for Joe Gibbs, eventual 92 champ Alan Kowicki, and a number of others collected on lap 90. 2 drivers not involved were Davey Allison and Robert Yates Ford, and Morgan Shepherd driving for the Wood brothers. They battled all the way to the checkers, with Allison taking the victory by 2 car lengths for a payday worth $244,000. It was his 14th career win. Before '92, Davey's best finish at Daytona was in 1988 when he finished runner-up to his dad, Bobby.
Still to come, we'll have the mailbox, a story on the Japanese drivers, and much more, so don't go away.
I don't think it makes any difference where you're from. It's either, in this business, they either have it or they don't have it. And a couple of these guys are really, really good.
97, we're back on the Winston Cup Series for a full-time basis, and biggest goal really is to qualify for every race, and I'd like to just have consistent top 20 runs. That doesn't sound very enthusiastic. You want to win races, you want to run the top 5 all the time, but today, as tough as the competition is with a new team, we can go out and get qualified for every race and run the top 20. I think we can say we had a good year.
We were real realistic in setting our goals with John Deere for 97. We didn't say we're going to win a race. We didn't say we're going to have a bunch of top 10s. What we did say, though, is we wanted to qualify for every race, and we wanted to have some good competitive runs.
We need to win some more races. That's what we're here for. And hopefully we can finish in the top 10 in points. We got to finish better than 14th this year. We want to finish in the top 10 in points again next year. And if we end up winning 1 race this year, we'd like to win 3 or 4 next year. That's what our goals are.
NASCAR Winston Cup racing even went international this year. Last month, they ran the Suzuka 100 in Japan, and they had 3 Japanese drivers that participated in that race, and some people were very impressed with their driving abilities, especially since it was their first time in a NASCAR Winston Cup type car. Stephanie Boyd has their story.
The idea of having Japanese drivers in this race has been great for the Japanese fans, but it did raise the question of how they would fare against the American professionals. Well, let me tell you, the Americans have been impressed by their progress, and the Japanese drivers have discovered a whole new world.
There were 4 Japanese drivers competing in NASCAR's first race in Japan: Hideo Fukuyama, Akihiko Nakaya, Kaiichi Tsuchiya, and Kazuteru Wakita. Their odyssey started early when Tsuchiya had to repair his STP Ford after crashing before the Americans even arrived. But when they did, they showed their NASCAR family spirit by helping to repair the car.
He's been racing more than 15 years, and this is the greatest help he has ever had from not really opponents, but some other team, and so he's really happy about that.
The driver who got the most help, though, had to be Nakaya. His car was purchased by the track from Penske Racing when the team tested tires at Suzuka earlier in the year. But when the driver showed up, track officials had less than a skeleton crew. The Penske guys came to their aid, and Jeff Gordon's stepdad, John Bickford, stepped in as crew chief.
The car itself is owned by Suzuka Racetrack, and the team organization was totally up to Suzuka circuit. And so he didn't know what's going to happen until he came here yesterday. And now we have 50% Japanese crew and 50% American crew, and they're doing okay.
It's not just our crew, but, you know, Hendricks and a couple of the other guys got in here, the 37-car bunch coming over here and helped them. And I think that's what this sport's all about, isn't it? Everybody kicking in. When somebody needs a little bit of a helping hand, it doesn't make any difference what side of the pond they're on.
But no matter how much help the Americans tried to give them, Nakaya's crew had more than its share of troubles. They blew several motors throughout the weekend, bringing their total up to 5 from the time they bought the car.
It's been an experience. I'd say the big difficulty is the sound